Are you ready to break through any barrier or limiting belief holding you back? Ready to embrace your full potential and achieve your greatest success? Ready to get noticed and become the champion you were born to be? Then buckle up, because you've come to the right place. Greetings, champions. Master Coach Rich Grogan here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Wow, do we have another exciting, empowering episode lined up for you today? But before we get into it, I want to personally say thank you to you and the thousands of subscribers that continue to come back each and every week, listen to our show, all the comments and feedback. I'm so very grateful, because I know time is the most sacred thing, most sacred commodity on the planet. And the fact that you're giving me a piece of your time, a piece of your life, I promise I'm going to do everything I can to be kind of my ultimate mission, the mentor I always wanted, needed in my life. And I'm going to do everything I can to empower you with that champion's mindset, that warrior confidence, that belief in yourself, to stand out, to stand tall, to be the hero, leader, and champion you were born to be. And as always, bang, I'm going to hit you with some right hooks of reality. And then, of course, all heartfelt stories, and share my own mess ups along the way there to connect with you in a way to help you maybe avoid some of the same pitfalls, but also help you grow and be once again, the hero, leader, and champion you were born to be. So let's buckle up that chin strap and let's dive right in. This is January, believe it or not, January 2025. And our theme kind of the month is Just Do It January. And this is podcast episode number 389. I've titled this one, Set the Example: How Parents Build or Break Champions. Well, right off the bat here's a right hook reality for you. Can you guess what most organizations, hockey, baseball, any sport, or any organization to begin with that deals with kids, can you guess what their number one problem is? And this is most organizations, not all of them. Can you guess? Well, I know it's not you, because you're an outstanding parent. You're an outstanding mentor. You're an outstanding leader. And of course, if you're a teenager listening to this, I hope you are a hockey player or athlete of any type. It's not you. What is it? It's other parents, other players, other athletes that don't lead by example, that don't lead with a shred of integrity. Now, of course, that's what this whole show is all about, right? Empowering champions to lead with integrity on and off the ice. But wham, there's that right hook. For most organizations, the number one problem, the number one complaint, the number one, issue they have that destroys the organization is parents. Yeah, that are disrespectful. And then, of course, players that kind of model or emulate their parents have poor work ethic, disrespect. They just show up expecting to get ice time because, well, especially if you listen to the show a lot, you realize I'm a big believer in you got to earn it. You got to work hard to get it. I am not a believer in everybody gets ice time just for showing up. Everybody gets a trophy just because mommy and daddy complain a lot. Everybody gets an A in school because mommy and daddy complain a lot. That is not helping. That is hurting. To me, that is future bullying, because it's not preparing kids for the real reality of the world. Those that know, I had a martial arts academy for almost 30 years, and it took a while to get the momentum and grow and build the way we wanted, because we stood by our core values. Honor, integrity, discipline, respect. Meaning, you come in there, you're not getting a uniform. You're not getting a belt. You are earning it. And the reason for that, I believe in my heart, when kids are given things that they haven't worked for, haven't earned, well, that sets a precedence in their mind that they're entitled to this, entitled to that. And I mean, think about society today. We've got too many entitled, spoiled little brats, right? Yeah, they've been given everything their whole life and they've never learned to earn it. And sooner or later, here's the promise. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Sooner or later, they're going to have to learn how to earn it. And if they've never been taught the skills to earn it, what are they going to do? Well, that's a reason with depression, anxiety, and suicide, and this body dysmorphia, and the kids have no idea who the heck they are because they've never been taught to overcome failure and setbacks. Woo! So, back to the right hook reality. What's the number one problem? Parents can't blame the school systems. Now, we homeschool because I taught as a PE teacher for 11 years, and unfortunately, the school systems teachers are hardworking. They are. I was a teacher for 11 years. Now, I was just a PE teacher, but I saw how hard most teachers worked. It was a lot. And, of course, the number one problem there was parents. But we're going to stay focused on the organizational problems, because with this, the story I'm going to share, it's unfortunate. I just heard about this, so I thought I'm going to do a podcast on it. a hockey team that and my youngest son, Emmett, he's a goalie for those who don't know. And he plays for Palmetto. I actually got their shirt on today. Palmetto Varsity High School. Shout out to Bobby Varner, the head of the Palmetto Hockey Club. I'm blessed and honored to be able to coach with him and our other coach, Vance. Good job. He's kind of a backup role for the varsity team because our head goalie is fantastic. He just went to the All-Star game and was one of the stars. Excellent. But another team we play for is called the Ice Force. So shout out to Aaron and Mary Beth. Thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of that organization. Top notch. Ran the way it should be ran. Why? Because they set down the structures and the ground rules right off the bat on how parents and players are going to act at tournaments, at the rink. And if they don't act that way, same thing with Bobby and the Palmetto team, then you're not on the team. So anyway, I just found out last night that a team that we've played with the Ice Force, team we played against in the championship, the last two tournaments we were in, and these are the Ice Force is kind of a travel tournament team, but we don't have to travel all over the state. It's fairly local. But anyway, this team we're playing against, like I mentioned, they were dominant, man. We played against them in the championship the last few times. Now we won one. Actually, we lost, and then we won 2 tournaments ago, and then we came in second this past one. So it's been a really good battle. But I found out just yesterday that team is now dissolved. Wow. I mean, the kids, they seemed pretty respectful. They played hard. They worked hard. I mean, they were a darn good team. They gave us a battle, and like I said, they were champions in a good number of the tournaments. Now, it's the first time I've been involved with this tournament travel team. But from what I've heard, this team, I'm not going to name their name because I don't want to be disrespectful to the organization, but they have been the top dogs, so to speak. They've dominated. But the team is now dissolved. And why? Parents. And I saw firsthand the first tournament we went to. These parents were, if you can believe this, on the glass, flipping off our players. Now we're talking about 14, 15, 16-year-old hockey players. They're on the glass flipping them off. I even heard my wife even mentioned that one mom she saw when a player was a face-off and he happened to glance in the stands. Teenagers do that, looking for their girlfriend, looking to make sure mom is, got the camera. And this lady's there just giving him the finger. And my wife was standing there and just was like, unbelievable. And then the mom that was doing it looked down to her younger kids and say, see what mommy just did? I flipped him off. I showed him. I'm like, what in the world? Am I in the Twilight Zone here? Unbelievable. And then they berated the officials like no end in the stands. And the tournament, the weekend tournaments, sometimes they start at 7 a.m. and you play a game, 2 or 3 games in a day. Your other game could be at 5 or 6 o'clock at night. Well, what I noticed is these parents, all of them, two-fisted, drinking the whole doggone day. Now, for those who don't know, I haven't had a drink of alcohol in almost 2 years. Now, I never really had a problem, but I just wanted to do a better job of being the best 2.0 version of myself. And with all the concussions and brain damage I've had, anytime I would have a drink, man, I'd just get the worst headache. Now, I'm not saying that every time someone drinks alcohol, that problems happen. But I am saying most of the time when there's problems, especially with parents that have been drinking all day at a kid's sporting event, that's when problems happen. And 2 of the last tournaments we were at, this team had the cops called on them. A big fight broke out after the last one. I'm like, what in the world is going on here? Well, this team is now dissolved because of that. Why? Their home rink that supported them and sponsored them said no more. We are not dealing with this anymore. Now, I'm happy and proud of the rink for doing the right thing. And I'm glad the parents finally got a consequence for the disrespectful action, because what I've heard, this has gone on for quite some time now. But who suffers the most? The kids, those players. What are they going to do? So it gets back to what we're talking about on this episode. Parents, are you setting the tone, setting the example, helping build your kids up, or are you destroying them? Now, I know that's a right hook reality. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect and got it all figured out. I've made my share of mistakes, and that's what I've learned from. I will say that I've never flipped off another teenage player on the ice. I've been frustrated at teenagers, and occasionally I've probably yelled at a teenage player on our own, well, definitely our own team, for not hustling, not working hard, or being disrespectful. And I've had conversations with other teenage players who show disrespect to themselves, the game, and aren't playing or leading with integrity. but I've never flipped another player off. I can't even imagine. It was just mind-boggling to me to see that. But then what I realized, it goes on more than we think. It goes on more than we know. And unfortunately, most people just go there. They want to support and watch their kid, and then they got to deal with this stuff. So back to the initial message. Now, I know you listening, you don't perform and act that way. You don't. And if you've got parents in your organization that are acting that way, someone needs to step up and say something, because this set the precedence. They said no more. I don't care how good your team is. We are not dealing with this. And once again, who suffers the most? The kiddos do. Now, what's the lesson here? Well, when you're at an all-day sporting event, remember who you're there for. And if you want to have a beverage or this or that, well, if you're old enough, that's your business, not mine. But if you're drinking all day long and you're double fisting 24 ounce, come on, you're better than that. Now, once again, I'm not telling you to get in anybody's business. I'm just bringing up a point. That organization, those poor kids are now without a team. Is it deserving? Well, for the parents, yes, but not for the kids. So that kind of gets me into our Warrior Confidence tips. Champions are built where? At home. You set the example. Why? Your kids look up to you as the hero, mentor, leader. What you do is molding them on who they're going to be. And once again, I'm not standing up here on the almighty high throne saying that I'm perfect in every imaginable way. I'm not Mary Poppins. Some of you will get that, some won't. That's okay. No, I've had my flaws. I work every day. I wear my cross on the outside as a reminder of me to be the very best person I can be, and also to try and set the best example I can be, the best 2.0 version of myself, to not look like an idiot, not look like a fool, to not get my kids' team dissolved. Because once again, who suffers? The kiddos do. So champions are built at home, first and foremost. How you talk to and about the coach, how you talk to and about the opposing teams or the players. Now, for referees, I used to be hard as heck on referees. Boy, oh boy, would I light them up. Now, that's another thing. There's good and bad, just like anything else. Just like there's good and bad teachers in the world, good and bad coaches in the world, good and bad referees in the world. There's a lot of good and bad parents in the world, too. Now, referees, same thing. With integrity, they do the best they can out there, and I think most of them do. They're going to mess up from time to time. They're human beings. And by all means, you got a lot of teenage kids out there wanting to be a referee, and they're going to mess up a lot. Work with them, help them to get better. Because hockey and all sports are in desperate need of good officials. Why? Because parents run them off. They do. Now, on the other side, if there's a poor official, do it in a respectful way. And matter of fact, during one of those championship games, we had an official that clearly did not want to be there. Now, if you're an official out there and that's your attitude, well, chances are you're probably not listening to this. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? All you're doing, you're just as bad as the parents, ruining kids' lives. You don't want to be there, don't show up. Parents, you don't want to be there and be respectful, don't show up. Now, I know that's harsh, but gosh darn it, in the end, are we building the champions that we want by setting the right example? That's a question you have to answer. Now, once again, I know those that are listening, and unfortunately, those that could really benefit the most aren't the ones that listen to this because, why? Well, they don't need to. They got it all figured out. Who am I? Who are they to listen to this guy? Oh, because they're all tough guys. It drives me nuts. It's kind of the same in the martial arts industry. They have martial arts, dads would watch an MMA fight and then come into the studio all tough guys. Once again, we can't change those people, but we can definitely make sure that we're looking in the mirror and being the best example we can be for our kiddos because we're their heroes. They're looking up to us. Now, teenage hockey players that are listening, if you're in a leadership role, you got to set the precedence for what a true leader looks like. How are you conducting yourself? How are you being respectful in the locker room, on the ice, off the ice? How are you being respectful to the newer kids coming in? How are you being respectful to yourself with your work ethic, with your attitude, with your effort, with your mindset of a champion? Set the example, because the example we set is going to kind of pave the way for the next group coming up. We got a choice. We can be the champions and build future champions, or we can say, well, this is the way I was brought up, so this is the way I'm doing it. Now, I'm a big believer in old hard school, hard knocks, work hard, be respectful, have discipline. Yeah, that's the way I was brought up. I mean, it was bit over the top, but it is what it is. But there's a balance we can find. We can't be so rigid and so to the point of almost being cruel with our discipline. But at the same time, we can't be where we have no discipline, no integrity, no respect, no work ethic at all. There's a balance, just like everything in life. Find that balance. No one's perfect. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you doing the very best you can be? Are you raising future champions, leaders, and heroes by the example that you set? Woo! I come out firing, didn't I? Our new listeners are like, what in the heck? Wow. Hopefully it's a good wow, not a bad wow, and you're turning me off right now. All right, moving on. Number 2, I want you to think long-term, not short-term. And what does that mean? Well, we all have emotions. I mean, especially if we're in an intense battle in a game. Being a coach, being a player, I'm a referee as well, and being a parent, all the emotions, boom, 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 are always there. I mean, there's a lot of times when if I don't catch myself, something comes out quicker than it should have. Now, I've said a lot of wrong things at a lot of wrong times. It's happened. But what I've really tried to do, and I'm asking you to do, is reflect on those times and think, could I have done better? And chances are, if it's something you wish you wouldn't have said, yeah, you could have done better. Now, I'm not perfect. I'm working on it. But remembering those when I really made myself look like a jerk or a fool, saying or yelling like an idiot, saying the wrong things, I think, man, that's not the example I want to leave. That's not who I want to be remembered for. That's not how I want my kids to be. You know, I often tell a story about, I heard it this way, so I'm going to share it this way. A mom's driving her 6-year-old to school, and they're running late, and gets a 6-year-old buckled in and get in the car and taking off, and somebody pulls in front of her and stops at a red light. Well, the mom slams on the brakes and nearly rear ends the person. The mom, just as she's about to tear into this person, the little 6-year-old behind her starts saying, "You stupid idiot, you moron, you nearly got us killed. Why don't you learn how to drive? You're freaking terrible." Just on and on. And the mom glances in the rearview mirror and realizes, how does my 6-year-old know that? Well, she knows that because she heard the mom saying it. Woo. Well, the same thing. Dads, look, we got to be the hero we were born to be, to set the example. And what is my goal, my purpose? Well, my goal is to show my boys, I've got 2 boys, 24 and 16, what a real man is about, that he can admit fault, that he can work on trying to be a better person each and every day. He can learn from his mistakes to set the precedence of what a leader, a hero, and champion is all about. That way they can follow and emulate and improve on my errors and mistakes. Also, at the same time, I've got a daughter who's 21. I want to set the example of what she needs to look for in a man. Not someone who's abusive to their mom, not someone who's disrespectful, not someone who's constantly drunk all the time and acting like a fool, but someone who's setting goals, someone who's trying to be a better person, someone who's trying to help the next generation be their very, very best. Realizing life ain't all sunshine and rainbows. So setting the example of what for my boys to be like, for my daughter, what to look for. And it's not easy. There is no manual for parenting. There's all kinds of coaching manuals out there, but there's not a whole lot of manuals to deal with the emotions that happen, the impact. You have to learn from the mistakes. You have to constantly be willing to move forward. It's not easy. I'll never lie to you and say it's easy, but not for the short term. Think about that before you yell at the official next time. I got to remind myself of that. So we just had some games over the weekend, and there were fairly more than I would like suspect calls. But call the official over, ask. I actually taught one of our players. It was, in my opinion, a very bad call. So I called the official over, and I asked him, "Hey, say, I didn't see it. What did you see?" And he explained it, and I'm like, "So that's really a penalty?" And he goes, well, from my angle, yes, it was. I said, "Okay, hey, man, I was just asking. I didn't see it. Thanks for the explanation." And he skated off, and the player goes, "Man, I thought you were going to tear into him." I said, "Well, 1, that's not setting the right example." I said, 2, it's a psychological ploy. Here, you can learn something here. I said, by asking the official in a respectful manner what exactly he saw and why he made that call, and if he has a hard time explaining it, and the official did, he was stumbling all over his words, it told me that he kind of blew the call. The crowd made a noise because he didn't initially call it. The crowd went nuts, and then he put his arm up. So that's why I questioned it. I said, by doing that, hopefully it makes him think, I kind of blew that call. And then maybe later down the line, if there's a kind of a question, or I don't say a questionable call, but something that could go either way, maybe he'll give us the edge on that one to kind of, I hate to say make up for it, but that's kind of the thing. I said, but I could have yelled and screamed and act like a total fool, got a bench minor or possibly kicked out of the game, but that wouldn't have changed his mind. Once the official makes the call, that's it. Now, if it gets to the point where it's continuously bad calls, don't lose your stuff and embarrass yourself. But that might be something you need to report to the league. Now, I mentioned a few tournaments ago, we had an official that clearly did not want to be there. Now, that ruins the integrity of the game, and it frustrates me to no end. But once again, it would not have done me any good to yell up and down and act like a fool. Learn from that example, and maybe use the one example, call them over and ask them just what they saw, and make them kind of, in their own words, tell you what they saw. And if they have a hard time, chances are you've got your point across that maybe I blew that call. They're never going to say it. But actually, I've had one official say, hey, I shouldn't have called it, but it was too late. Well, okay, well, thanks for owning up to it. We're all human. Anyway, thought I'd drop those few things on you. But back to the parents, long-term, not short-term. You're building future leaders by your actions, just like anything else. And you've heard me talk about this countless times. When you put seeds in the ground, like if you're planting and you want strawberries, you want a strawberry plant because we all love luscious strawberries, right? It doesn't grow overnight. It takes a while for that plant to pop through and then start growing. And once it starts growing, it takes a while for those little strawberry buds to start blooming. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. But I promise you, just like planting those strawberry seeds, you continue to nurture it, you continue to stay on top of it, something good is going to grow. But what you plant is what grows. So if you want strawberry seeds or strawberry plants and those luscious strawberries, you got to plant strawberry seeds. If you plant onion seeds, you're not getting strawberries. So what's my point? My point is, if you want positivity, you want leadership, you want champions, that's what you got to plant. You can't plant negativity. You can't plant self-doubt. You can't plant ugliness. You can't plant acting like a fool. You can't plant being a drunken stupor at your kids' hockey games. What are you going to produce? Woo, does that sting a little bit? All right. Well, once again, I say these things, not that I got it all figured out, but I'm a work in progress as well. I'm just asking you to be humble with yourself and realize we can always learn. We can always get better. And long-term, what are we looking for? We're looking to produce the best champions, heroes, and leaders we can be, both on and off the ice. Good? All right. Well, hey, that reminds me, if you have not picked up a copy of my Amazon new release bestseller, yes, How to Get More Ice Time, grab a copy. Go right to Amazon. The direct link is geticetime.com. I forgot the link. It's in the description box because I said it wrong. But Get Ice Time, the direct link is in the description box. Check that out. Also, our program, we've got for $9, man. It's our 45-minute masterclass Q&A video. I've got a person asking me questions back and forth. It's designed on how to get your kiddo there, your player, more ice time. And it's focused on, you probably guess it, respect, work ethic, communication skills, and how to be a leader, how to stand out from the crowd and get noticed. You know, I was never a very big person. Matter of fact, most teams I was on, I was generally the shortest player, smallest player on every team, and I definitely wasn't the most gifted or talented. But once I kind of learned the secret, which is show respect to myself by always putting forth my very, very best, show respect to the team by always putting forth my very, very best, and then show respect to the coaches by doing the things that others weren't willing to do, skating hard, working hard, doing my best. That's how I got noticed. That's how I got ice time. That's how I got leadership roles, wearing the A and the C, not because I was the most talented, definitely not because I was the biggest or tallest or strongest. None of those were the case. It was respect. It was work ethic. It was communicating like a leader. It wasn't whining and crying. It wasn't having my mom and dad go beat up and berate the coach. Matter of fact, my dad, he was an over-the-road truck driver, so he was rarely in town, and he never really liked me playing hockey because it took away the farm chores. So, but we were able to do it, but he certainly wasn't going to go to the coach because I had too much pride for that nonsense. So I had to earn it and learn. It was hard. So my goal now is to try and learn everything I learned from him, which is old hard school. I learned a lot from it. Then also bridge it with, trying to do the very best I can to learn from some of the mistakes he made. I'm not knocking him. He did the best he could do with what he had. And my goal is my boys and my daughter and all the kids I work with coaching, they can learn from the good and the mistakes I've made and then continue on and be the best leader they can be. And I know that's what you want as well as a parent. So anyway, also, hey, I forgot about this. Our social media, if you're not following Real Rich Grogan, but we've got a brand new. It's Warrior Confidence Hockey Earn More Ice Time Facebook group. It's a private group, exclusive group, just for hockey players, parents, coaches, organizations, and constantly dumping new content in there, free content, kind of behind the scenes stuff, all kinds of different things to help you be the leader you were born to be, to pass that on, to help create a new future generation of champions. So check that out. You got to answer a couple questions because I don't want people in there that don't belong in there. I want it to be a nice exclusive members group. But if you're listening to this, you definitely have earned the right to be there. Answer those 2 or 3 simple questions and get your butt in that group and share that with your friends as well. Good? All right. Hey, moving on to Warrior Confidence tip number 3. It's stand out by leading with integrity. Now, I've talked about leading with integrity to no end. Why? It's one of my core values. Core values are honor, integrity, discipline, and respect. Doesn't mean I have them all perfect, but gosh darn it, I do my absolute very, very best to stand out with integrity. And that is simply doing what I say I'm going to do when I say I'm going to do it. Now, in today's culture, sometimes it's not very popular. Yeah, I just did, it's actually in my book. I talk about, there's a term that unfortunately has gotten too popular, drives me nuts, and I want to, you talk about bringing out the anger in me. And it's this phrase right here. Well, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Oh my gosh, that just look at that. That literally fills me with rage. It drives me nuts. Matter of fact, and I talk about in my book, I was at a clinic and I heard a guy say that. Well, you know what? And these like, I don't know, 12-year-old kids. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying. You better remember that because that's the way the world is. Ugh. And then some people say, well, you know what? And then that's true. Well, it is true that the majority, I shouldn't say majority, but too many people in the world believe in that. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So after this clinic, I didn't want to embarrass the guy in front of everybody, but I pulled him aside and said, man, did you really mean that? He telling his kids? He goes, that's the reality of the world. Learn it now from me before the world teaches them that. And, he even said something about, I hear you don't believe in everybody gets a trophy, so I figured you would be in alignment with that. There was one of his exact words, but it was something to that degree. I said, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, I believe that we got to teach them to earn it right off the bat because the world is not all sunshine and rainbows and it's going to pop you and knock you down. You're going to have to learn to get back up. But I'm not telling the kids, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. What kind of example is that? And he goes, well, that's what I believe in. So instead of me arguing with him, I'm getting better about not arguing with fools because, it takes two, right? So if I'm arguing with a fool, what does that really say I am, right? Even though I'm trying to change his mind, some people you can't change. My whole point of that is integrity is not if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Unfortunately, that's what a good majority of society is all about. Integrity is standing out and saying, hey, we're not going to play that game. You know what? We're going to lose. If we lose, we lose, but we're going to lose with discipline. We're going to lose with integrity. We're going to give it all we've got. And yeah, I mean, think of the countless stories. And I've heard some NFL coaches, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. We're better than that. We're better than that. That's not the example we want to set. Now here's your reward for standing out with integrity. You're going to get noticed because so few are willing to do it. Same thing I tell the players. Look, you work hard. You're respectful. You have good discipline. You have good leadership communication skills. You lead with integrity on and off the ice. You are going to stand out like never before because so few are willing to do it. I mean, truly, it's easier than ever to stand out from the crowd. Just do the things others aren't willing to do. I mean, it seems even, our leaders in the world, they take the easiest path. They just kind of migrate to whatever society's doing, whatever the newest norm is. Then you have no integrity. You have no character. You have nothing because you don't stand for anything. What's the old saying? When you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Stand out. Be the leader. Is it easy? No. Is it tougher than ever? Yeah, it's tough because so few are willing to do it. But at the same time, it's easier than ever to get noticed for doing the right thing because so few are willing to do that. Now, can you do it? Absolutely. Can your players do it? Absolutely. Can your kids do it? Absolutely. Are they going to do it? Are you going to do it? That's the $1 million question, right? So quick review. Number 1, champions are built at home. Number 2, think long term, not short term. So try and control those emotions the best you can. Because I always tell the players all the time, practice and at the games, look, every day we're going to experience one of two types of pain: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of discipline, at the time, it's tough. I mean, it's real tough. It weighs a lot because you got to discipline yourself to do things others aren't willing to do. You got to discipline. You got to put off, I guess, what you want most for what you can have now. I don't want to work out. I want to get more rest. Got to put that off. Well, I don't want to work hard in practice, but I want to win a championship. You want a championship, you're going to discipline yourself now. It's tough. But the pain of discipline, man, the rewards are priceless. However, the pain of regret, it's easy in the moment. It's easy not to put forth extra work and practice. It's easy to coast and glide when the coach isn't looking. And by the way, when the coach isn't watching or looking, that's when he's watching the most. Remember that. But the pain of regret, at the time, it's simple. But that regret lasts forever. That regret leads to, man, I wish I would have. I wish I wouldn't have done this. Dang, if I'd have done a little extra. So I tell them, when you get off that ice after a shift, I want you to ask yourself, did I do absolutely everything I could do on that shift to win every puck battle, to forecheck, back check, and battle as hard as I could for the 45 seconds to a minute that I was on the ice? Did I give it my all? If the answer is no, then only you can change it. But we know in our heart when we're giving our best and when we're not. So those are two types of pain: pain of discipline, pain of regret. Which pain are you choosing? Woo, bang, that's a hard hitter, isn't it? And then warrior confidence tip number 3 is stand out and lead with integrity. Can you do it? Yes. Are you going to do it? It's a question you have to answer. So back to our initial engagement question. What example are you setting for your kids, for your team? What example? Is that example that you're going to be proud of? I hope the answer is yes. And for organizations out there, man, I got to tell you, and I've got one organization we're working with. We're going to continue building. I just put together a new 6-week Warrior Confidence, how to get more ice time program. And it's based on things we've just been talking about: respect, work ethic, discipline, leadership, communication skills, of course, teamwork. And it all revolves around building that confidence, building that respect, and building that belief in yourself to be the hero, leader, and champion you were born to be. So if you're part of an organization or a hockey team and you'd like more information about that, reach out to me. You can get a hold of me through the description box. The links are in there, or through our website, and I'd be happy to talk to you about what we can do to help build up your organization. And that could be me talking to the organization. It could be, wholesale price on books. If you're going to send your organization some books, also the program, we can talk about that as well. Good? All right. Well, folks, thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy day today. I know I was hitting you some right hooks of reality and left uppercuts of truth, and we were firing them away today. My whole goal, as I mentioned, is to be the mentor I always wanted, needed in my life, to help raise future leaders, future heroes, future champions. They're going to lead with integrity and help not only grow this beautiful, wonderful game of ice hockey, but help develop champions that lead with that integrity on and off the ice. So regardless if you're a hockey player, a parent, coach, organizational leader, or you're just an athlete or a leader of any sort, my goal is to help you be your very, very best. So make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell if you're watching on YouTube. And if we've earned it, please kindly give us that 5-star review. That helps rate us higher in their search engines and get this message out to a bigger audience. And if you found value in this, man, oh man, share this with someone else that you know could benefit from this message. And as I mentioned earlier, I know most teenagers don't listen to podcasts, but man, if you think this would give them that extra tip, that extra edge they need to stand out from the crowd, which we both know it would and will, have them listen to it, and listen to it more than once in the car. Therefore, by listening more than once, you're going to pick up on something you missed the first time. Why you're going to be at a kind of different level of learning, or a higher level of learning, just the way the mind works. And maybe the first time you listened, you weren't in the best of moods. So you thought, man, that guy was just nothing but a jerk. But you listen again and say, oh, well, he was coming from the heart. That's just how it is. The way we usually interpret things is how we're feeling ourselves. I mean, think about it. When you get a text message and maybe you're upset or frustrated about something, you're probably going to interpret that text in that way. Maybe it was meant that way, maybe it wasn't, but that's the way we're going to interpret it. So, little psychological tip there. Anyway, also, oh yeah, if on our website there, warriorconfidence.com, you can find all kinds of information, not only in our books and our programs, but how to connect as well. So check those things out. I love you. God loves you. You are a unique gift from God. You have a unique talent and ability. And so does your all-star athlete that no one else has. So don't blend in with the crowd. Stand out. Get noticed for doing the right things. And then share that gift with the world. And until we talk again, you get out there and do your best. And I promise you'll be your very best. God bless you. God bless your loved ones. I can't wait to chat with you again real soon. And I can't wait to read your comments. Hope to see you around the rink. God bless. Bye-bye. Thank you so very much for being a part of the Warrior Confidence Unleashed podcast. I am truly grateful for your time. If you found value in this message, please kindly share it with someone else who could also benefit from it, especially teenagers and adult athletes and leaders who are serious about getting noticed, getting more playing time, and leadership roles. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share your comments with us. And we truly appreciate your 5-star reviews, as that helps spread the message even further. Stay connected with us throughout the week on all social media platforms at Real Rich Grogan. And visit our website at warriorconfidence.com for access to all our programs and books. The links are in the description box. Thank you again for your time, and I can't wait to chat with you again real soon. Have a blessed day. God bless. Parents, are you frustrated seeing your superstars sit on the bench, getting overlooked and passed over for ice time and leadership roles? I personally know that heartbreak and pain. Well, that frustration ends today. Introducing our How to Get More Ice Time program, the amazing one-of-a-kind program for youth and teenage hockey players that helps them get what they want most, more playing time and more opportunities. And today, exclusive offer, we're selling this thing for only $9. $9. It's a no-brainer. But you got to act now, because this offer won't last. And if you don't do anything, nothing's going to change. So go to warriorconfidence.com. That's warriorconfidence.com, or simply click on the link in the description box. Buy the program today and help your child get what they want most, more ice time.